Um, Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and then good morning to the people who are participating in online. Thank you very much. So we would like to start this very interesting, exciting workshop, Clean Air with Improved Agricultural Crop Residue and Biomass Management in Asia. And so we move to the opening session. And first, we would like to invite our Senior Director, AFNR Sector Group, Mr. Chen Fen Zhang. He is in the US, but he kindly agreed to give us opening remarks. Thank you, Chen Fan, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Roiko, and also thank you so much, Yuko, and also Yasumi. And also this is a very important session since yesterday is World Environment Day. Actually, here in the US, today is World Environment Day. Again, a very, very important topic. I think in this room, many of the colleagues probably still remember last year we hosted the MA Speaker Forum delivered by the Dean of Sustainability School of Stanford University. When Wu Chong, our MDG, hosted the talk, he asked the Dean Aaron about this, what the most important environmental challenging and also technology challenges for us in the coming decades. Aaron immediately to say, how we can introduce a affordable, practical technology addresses corporate residue burning issues is a key technology he can imagine probably for the decades to come, particularly for the Asia Pacific. So again, today's session is so relevant and very critical. Again, the Asia Pacific, majority of our people still live in the rural area, and also many of them engage with agriculture. So in this case, the poor management of agricultural residues and also the biomass cause a big concern on the air pollution. Of course, it also contribute to the GHG emissions in Asia Pacific. Again, because of labor shortage in the rural area and also the lack of proper machinery technologies, so many of the farmers just take this as sort of the most convenient method to handle the crop residues. They cannot collect the crop residues and they adopt the reasonable technology to handle the crop residues. And for the future, the economic pressure to use this land intensively also will need the farmers difficult for them to address this crop residue and also will cause successive crops. And then for the future, this challenge will become much bigger. Again, the burning crop residues in the open fields now is a widespread issues, particularly in India and also Pakistan, including some of the countries in the Southeast Asia. Again, despite of government bans and also many of the interventions in Asia Pacific, this practices remains widespread. One of the study I want to cite here is that this is come from the India. The impact of the change in the agricultural emission across Asia is also highlight importance of this topic. Again, their study just released as 2022. Their study there, the data collected from the 2003 to 2019, causes 16 years. They found out agricultural residue burning costs 44,000 to the 99,000 particular matters related premature deaths annually. of which of this case study, the Punjab and Haryana and also Pradesh is contribute to the 67% and 19%. And also is talking about the importance of the copper residues to contribute to the air quality reduction. They found out due to the combination of the relatively high downwind population density, agricultural output, and also cultivation of the residue-intensive crops in the 6 districts in the Punjab alone, contribute to the 40% of the India-wide annual air quality impacts from the residue burning. So that means ambient air quality impact actually significant cause by the agricultural carbon residues combustions. This is the bad news, but we also have the good news. Actually, in Asia Pacific, some of the areas, they also have the many innovative technology are being produced or they introduced, which can reduce the copper field burning, particularly use specialized harvesters and also the machinery technologies where they can easily remove the residues, but with some cost. And same time, if we reduce the copper residues, we also have a co-benefit, reduces the GHG. I think carbon market can also produce the incentive for farmers to avoid this residue burning. So again, as I say from a few minutes ago, I say this workshop can very timely and explore the causes and the challenges of the copper residues burning, and also discuss the solutions through the practical innovations in Asia. So to where I know Naroko and also the one of the colleagues going to discuss about the challenges and opportunities, particularly in terms of the technologies, agricultural mechanizations for the affected vulnerable groups such as smallholders, farmers, women participants, and also strengthen the policy environment, and they also can leverage South-South corporations. So again, I'm very happy to say, this workshop, of course, is co-hosted by the FNR sector environmental team, and also good participants from the many of the resolutions. I say, for example, Maria Pia from the Georgia, they're also going to attend it. So we are going to support the 1ADB approach to develop the new generation of the project to reduce the regional haze caused by agricultural residues and also the food productions. So with that, let me just pause here. I hope you have a very rich and a useful discussions. Sorry for me, I cannot attend in person, but again, this is a long-term and persistent issues. I hope as a community, we can get together to find the solution and introduce as a new flagship project in the near future. Thank you so much. Back to you, Lorica.
Thank you very much, Chen-Fan. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for very much encouraging message that the air quality issue is now one of the priority in EB, and then we must work hard for resolving this issue. Thank you very much, Chen-Fan. Safe flight back to Manila. So, and then stay there safely. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So this workshop is jointly organized by the SG, the sector group AFNR and CCRE. sustainable environment team, environmental sustainability. Environment system. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I now would like to invite Ms. Yoko Watanabe, Director, Environment, Climate Change, Resilience, and the Environment Cluster, CCRE, and then the CCSD. Thank you. Please give us these remarks.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Very nice to see you here. So, first of all, thank you, Ching Feng, you're still there, and thank you, Yasmin, and of course Noriko for organizing this together with the Climate Change and Sustainable Development Department, where we belong as an environment group. And it's really great that we are doing this as a one ADB team to push forward their air quality agenda. And so, first of all, I just really feel that it's just a timely initiative to really figure out how we can work together on the intersect of a clean air. Let me just sit here. Clean air and crop residue and biomass management that we are working together. So first of all, it's great that also, the partners are coming here together, the ISCAP, the ISIMAD, and the Pakistan's Galaxy Rice Mills. And we really look forward to exchanging experiences, knowledge together so that we can advance this agenda moving forward. And agriculture waste burning is a subject that touches multiple development issues, including food security, livelihood security, health and climate change, and air quality, and multiple issues. And so this morning, I'd like to just take a little minute on the remark to see the interlinkages between all these issues and how we can move forward as a community moving forward. So, in terms of air pollution, as we know, we hear in the news every day, it's one of the largest environment and social issue. So I'm emphasizing that this is not just the environment issue, but a health issue and a livelihood issue that we need to tackle as a society. And we often see this, with even Philippines closing out for 2 days. The school was closed, and like last year, I used to live in New York, and the sky was totally orange because of the wildfire in Canada. And we really, firsthand realized with just breathing dirty air and having health issues all along. So we have recognized, particularly in Thailand this year, that consistent, gray cloud hovering the sky, and the citizens were really impacted with the atmosphere, toxic atmosphere, and health problems as we move, as we live in the city, particularly. And the main causes of air pollutions are usually multifold. It's not only agriculture residue, of course, and we have been tackling in many places emissions from the industries, vehicles, and also forest fire, peatland fire, and also burning of agriculture residue is really becoming a big issue right now. And I think this is a timely event to see what we can do and tackle the issue. And so, um, and also just on the impact of this haze and also air quality, as we know, air pollution causes about 7 million deaths annually. And it is informed by WHO, and it's actually having a 8 trillion health sort of costs around the world. So rather than tackling post air quality, it really is important that we do the prevention work and reduces these costs and really work on economic sort of benefit moving forward. And unfortunately, 99 out of the 100 cities that has highest pollution is in Asia, and 10 most polluted cities are again in Asia. So we really need to tackle in Asia and Pacific as an Asian Development Bank. And actually, also quite interesting data recently that came out is it really has a concrete impact to the GDP and the economy. 1% to 2.5% of GDP can get reduction by 2060 if the current trends of pollution continues. So with all that statistics and number, it's really high time that we have this discussion today and see what we can do on this front moving forward with all of you. And in terms of what we are seeing here is that the practice of agriculture residue burning is basically currently the cheapest and the easiest and quickest way for the farmers to get rid of the old crop residue and prepare the field for the next one. But it's not to blame and punish these poor farmers, but because there's no limited alternative at this stage. And what we really need to look at is the practices of the large agriculture businesses, as well as people's demand for lower price food, and how we can work on this and balance the different needs. And ironically, in the pursuit of being most cost effective and efficient, burning residue crops, this actually reduces productivity of farm products, and because of the reduced water retention and soil fertility of up to 30%. So fortunately, there are many solutions that have been coming up, and we know that we are going to highlight some of them today. And some of them are, like in India, a new scheme have come up and utilize positive subsidies to procure agriculture machinery to reduce and manage crop residue. And then in Thailand, we also learned that organic fertilizer bank was established to reuse the crop residue, while a startup company is helping farmers to regenerate income from carbon credits, and so from avoided crop burning. So actually, with our carbon credit colleagues, we're trying to figure how we can actually work on agriculture issues, forestry issues, and use those incentives to control these practices moving forward. So just to highlight, ADB has decades-long history of working on air quality and air quality improvement in the region. And in 2023, the Clean Air Fund actually published a state of global air quality funding, and we were recognized as the second highest investor in the region. But that also means that we recognize that the investment is really low right now. So we really need to collectively work together and increase that sort of investment moving forward. And so, as ADB, position ourselves as a climate bank of Asia and Pacific. We recognize that air pollution and climate change is two sides of the same coin, and they share basically same sort of causes, like burning of fossil fuels and transportation and factories and burning agriculture residue, as we've been talking. So if we stop this, there is benefit for both climate change and our air quality and our health. So we can really generate multiple benefits by tackling this issue. So today, ADB continues to support this initiative. Karma is here, who will be talking more about the Clean Air Blue Skies program that we are supporting for a few years now, and really trying to make a difference and come up with solutions for different contexts in the countries that we support with, and not only with government, but also with private sector, and try to see and test and assess what we can do moving forward in scale. So as we move forward, I really hope that today would be a great exchange among all of us. And I really urge you that the learning from this session will not stay just with you, but get replicated and shared with your colleagues, and see what we can do to have this initiative scaled up in the region, and really a potential way to reduce the agriculture residue burning as a action, but also have multiple benefits for clean air and health and societal growth. So with that few words, thank you very much for the invitation, and it's been wonderful working together, and I'll give it back to Noriko again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Yoko-san. Thank you very much. Thank you. Very like a detail, and we need solutions now. So thank you very much. This workshop will like come up to some good solution, and then that we can share them with others through this workshop. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so then we would like to move to the session one. This is the overview session, and the first, I would like to invite Ms. Kalma, and she will share the ADB's corporate approach on improved air quality. Kalma is the bank-wide focal for this air quality work. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, is it working? Thank you, Noriko. Good morning, everybody. And so just to build on the wonderful remarks from Yoko, where Yoko has sort of set the historical background of what ADB has been doing for air quality, I would like to talk a little bit about the Clean Blue Skies program. So we have been working on air quality for several decades, as Yoko had mentioned. So this is not something new, but we sort of, I think, lost a little bit of momentum along the way. So this program is basically trying to regain that momentum and, energize our efforts towards addressing air pollution. Okay, so this is the overall framework of the Asia Clean Blue Skies program. The program itself was launched in September 2022. And of course, the overall goal is for us to play a more active role and also take on a leadership role within the region. Oops. Am I controlling or someone else controlling the slide? If you can go back to the previous slide. So yes, so basically the whole idea behind this program is to help improve air quality in Asia and the Pacific. And we have organized the activities of the program around these three outputs. So output one is focusing mainly on the upstream level efforts on policies, programs, strategies, helping national governments, supporting regional air quality related agreements, and also within the context of ADB, trying to mainstream and integrate air quality in the country partnership strategies, the CPS, to then create an enabling environment to have more investments on air quality down the line. Output two is focused around capacity building. There is a big need for capacity building within the region in various kinds of capacity building, the usual knowledge, technical expertise of government departments and officials that are managing air quality, but also the air quality monitoring systems, because currently in many of our member countries it's very ad hoc and it's very dependent on availability of donor funds type of thing, and equipments are functioning maybe for a couple of years, and as soon as the funds run out, then it's no longer available. So trying to also find sustainable monitoring systems and the data management and communicating the data to the general public. Enforcement of regulations, this is also something which is a big need in the region. So this is all in the sort of output two topics, and also having a general education and awareness, programs. The third output, this is more about the solutions on ground, implementing the solutions on ground, and that's where focusing on the investment projects in the different sectors. So we have it organized just like how we are in ADB: energy sector, industry sector, transport sector, the urban and housing sector, And then, of course, open burning. And this is, I think, the main topic that we are going to discuss today. And in this case, we're talking about open burning of agricultural waste, but as well as municipal waste, because that is also a big problem in cities in Asia. So this is sort of a broad overview of how the program is organized. Next slide, please. Yeah. So this is just to give an overview of the timeline. So of course we need to implement the program, on a phased, following a phased approach because of time and resources, and also adjusting the bigger, strategy of the program depending on the needs, which is evolving within the region. So we launched the program in September 2022, and we are very close to finishing the first phase. So it was very short. And if you'll notice, I have a bit of color coding going on here. So we have the brown box up and down. So the first phase was, we launched it with the resources from this TA, which I'm managing. And you will notice that we actually launched it only in the later part of the TA implementation period. And I am right now in the process of processing the second phase. So I'm processing a new TA, but of course, CCRE environment team cannot implement this program alone. We need to work very, very closely with many other departments, sector groups, private sector, regional departments, resident missions. So we need to work closely with many, many other departments. We can definitely not implement this program alone. And then we will, of course, have phase 3, and then hopefully it'll go beyond, it'll continue from, beyond 2030. A very important part of the program is leveraging partnerships. So we already have very good partnerships with external partners, and I list some of the acronyms here: UNEP, UNSCAP, the Climate and Clean Air Coalition, World Health Organization, Clean Air Asia, Clean Air Fund. Yoko had mentioned this earlier. World Bank, we have ICIMOD here, and then ASEAN Secretariat, and many more. So we are already sort of closely collaborating with many other external partners, and there's a lot of opportunity to leverage their technical expertise, knowledge, and in some cases, even financing, particularly World Bank. And then, so talking about financing, one of the main goals of this program is to really scale up the financing, because it's really little what is going into air quality improvement. Next slide, please. So just to let you know what we have done so far under the first phase and what we are planning under the second phase. And I must say that the first phase was more or less like a learning experience. We were still trying to figure out, what we can do best in this, under this program, and what would fit best within the setup of ADB, as well as meeting the needs of our developing member countries. So it was a learning stage, but at the same time we did get quite a lot achieved. So we have prepared clean air action plans for 6 cities, and you can see example is Bishkek Clean Air Action Plan. This was prepared under a TA in the urban team. And then we also prepared Clean Air Action Plan roadmap for 2 cities. And since we are also, this workshop is inspired by the Pakistan crop residue management case, which we will be learning about. So it's a good coincidence that actually we have done quite a bit of work in Pakistan in this, output 1 sort of group of activities, where we have prepared the roadmap for 2 cities, Sialkot and Peshawar. And we also help to integrate air quality in the NDC for Pakistan, and working in close collaboration with Ministry of Climate Change. And we also did the initial work for preparing the Pakistan National Clean Air Policy, which was then endorsed by the government last year. And we are also helping with next steps of rolling out the policy and sort of cascading it down to the provincial governments from the federal government. And I had mentioned CPS earlier. So under the first phase, we have given inputs to the ongoing preparation of country partnership strategies for Uzbekistan, Philippines, Indonesia is still ongoing, Nepal is still ongoing. And then internally within ADB, to have better clarity on our work and, to really track our work, because we are actually doing quite a lot for air quality, but it's not kind of tracked or accounted as air quality, because a lot of the sector projects, generate air quality co-benefits. So we want to do a better job of doing that. And we are in the process of creating the draft tracking system and also linking with the project classification system within ADB. We are also proposing to revise that and then linking it with the corporate results framework, the CRF. In the phase 2, we want to continue supporting, preparation of these city level or national level or provincial level, plans, and also strengthening of policies and regulations in national governments, which are related to air quality. Of course, mainstreaming of air quality in CPS. We want to continue doing that so that within ADB's scope of support to our member countries, it's one of the priority areas. And also looking at the sector level strategies and plans, both within ADB as well as in our member countries. And then again, continuing work on the internal tracking system. We really want to start like a proper system of air quality tracking. We want to set targets on what we want to achieve. These targets could be in terms of number of people benefited or financing amount. So we are still in the process of figuring that out. Yeah, and that's, I think you might have noticed, that's the National Clean Air Policy of Pakistan, and then that's one of the Clean Air Action Plans that we prepared under the Air Quality TA, which I'm managing. Next slide, please. So output 2 is all on capacity building. And we have done quite a lot of work here. We completed 8 knowledge events or training workshops. And then, of course, crop residue burning was one of the key areas that we had as part of the knowledge events. So the 2 that we had were, I think, around the time when we were still in the process of opening up after COVID. So these were virtual webinars. And then we just recently had organized a roundtable meeting in Bangkok in May, focusing on harmonizing, data management within the Mekong sub-region. But data management in relation to the haze, and of course, a big source of that is crop residue burning. Then, of course, I think most of you know, we had the big Better Air Quality Conference last year, which was very successful. And it was a great platform for generating a lot of ideas of investment projects, under various sectors. So that also these sort of platforms also serve as an opportunity to develop and generate pipeline of projects. I had talked about supporting DMCs with air quality equipment and monitoring. So we did some of that in the existing TA, where we had installed low-cost sensors in 8 cities, and we use that for data collection, capacity building of the counterpart department within the government, and preparing the clean air action plans. Now, going forward, what we are proposing is obviously to continue having more of these training workshops, and since ADB is quite a well known and well-respected player within the region, so we do have this advantage of, convening many countries and stakeholders together. So we want to really take advantage of that situation and organize more roundtable meetings and enable better cooperations between countries and between organizations, and of course also play an active role in international and regional conferences. We want to improve capacity on enforcement. So this is something which we did not do under the first phase. So we hope we can get a chance to, tackle this part also with depending on the demand from our member countries. Study tours and knowledge exchange programs, this we did not do under the first phase, but I'm a strong believer that, when our delegates or government officials or executing agencies, we take them for study tours and they see that there is a particular solution which is being implemented and it's not rocket science, then the mind just switches like that, So I'm a strong believer of this. So we would like to have some of that under the new TA. We want to continue with the air quality monitoring equipment and the data management. So supporting that and preparing more toolkits, guidance, and manuals for air quality improvement and better integration in investment projects, both for within ADB project officers, but also for our, the government officials that are responsible for managing air quality. Next slide, please. So the last output is output 3, and this is more focusing now on the investment projects and the downstream efforts. So what we did under the first phase was we had a big review of ADB's portfolio within all the regional departments, and then we sort of picked up a few projects and tried to talk to the project officers and see if there is opportunity to better design the component which is contributing to air quality improvement. And also, I must acknowledge that the first phase, the financier for the first phase was JCM, the Japan Fund for Joint Crediting Mechanism. So, and their main interest, and I guess it's a good thing for us, is that then they would like to provide grant co-financing for the ensuing investment project. So therefore, we were supporting projects with GFJCM funds and also helping the project apply for grant co-financing from GFJCM. So that's quite a good opportunity. So in that, we carried out studies for about 5 investment projects. Some of this is still going on. And as I mentioned, in parallel, also seeking grant co-financing from GFJCM. And I think some of you may know, they provide co-financing of about 10% of the investment, the project costs. And of course, there are many other detailed criteria, but that's just sort of giving you a rough idea. We also had a mission in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh last year. So those pictures that you see, that's from our site visit. This is the textile in one of the textile factories that we visited. They are still using coal, very old technology for the heating. They're still using coal and they're using biomass. And I know this topic is also biomass. In a way, this is one of the ways for tackling biomass, but then it is still causing a lot of pollution. And in the picture, I think it's they were using a mix of coal and the peel of the cashew nuts, the skin of the cashew nuts for this particular textile factory. And you can see all the hot water and the steam, and the conditions are still pretty old, and there is a lot of scope for improvement. And we had a workshop with the key stakeholders of the textile industry in Ho Chi Minh. This was in March. So we are also looking to see if we can develop a pipeline of projects, and in this case, of course, private sector will play a big role. So we've been working with the private sector as well as the energy sector group within ADB. Second phase, we are proposing to continue our efforts to create a pipeline of projects. And we want to continue engaging with our member countries by inviting them to training workshops or policy dialogue and really raise awareness. And in some ways, we kind of have to raise awareness, and by way of doing that, create the demand for such kind of projects. So we want to continue doing that. We have priority sectors. Agriculture, of course, is a big one because of the critical issue of the regional haze in the Indo-Gangetic Plain as well as in Southeast Asia. Energy sector, there's still a lot of coal, power plants very close to cities and causing a lot of pollution in cities. Transport sector, of course, is a big one with all the vehicle emission, and industries, as shown in the picture here. This is just one kind of industry. So these are all the sectors that we would like to prioritize. And actually, air quality is very, very much across all sectors. It's a very much a cross-cutting issue. And focusing on the airsheds, this is an approach which the World Bank is following. And also, I think from the science point of view, it's good to follow this airshed approach. So one of the areas that we would like to, actively participate in is this Indo-Gangetic airshed. World Bank has a program already going on there, and ADB is thanks to early efforts from Yasmin in leading an initiative. We are looking to see if we can create a project in Haryana, investment project. And one of the areas, of course, that we'll be tackling under that project will be crop residue burning, which is, I think, one of the, the contributors to the infamous pollution in Delhi that we face every winter. And then the Mekong subregion. So that's another area where there is a lot of transboundary pollution, and the overall ASEAN, they have this haze agreement. So we also want to play an active role in these regional initiatives. And then countries. So I have so many countries listed because air pollution is bad everywhere. Of course, this is like a combination of prioritizing countries where pollution is really bad, and also where we are getting, proactive demand and interest from our DMCs. Priority cities, and this is where we already have active discussions going on within ADB, or in some cases even with the government. So these are some cities which we've listed here: Dhaka, Bangkok, Bishkek, and the Jakarta, Hanoi, and Ho Chi Minh. So these are just currently where we are having ongoing discussions. But of course, this list will really evolve over time, and we would like to really support as many cities as possible. And with that, I think I finished. I think that's it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kalma. So I myself is working for Pakistan, preparing a new investment project in agriculture sector, where we are thinking to incorporate this crop residue management as one of the components. So we are very interesting, like a presentation, and I learn a lot from this Kalma's presentation also about bank-wide effort. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so then the next, it's a Marco. Okay, so then we would like to invite Mr. Marco Silvestri from the UNSCAP. You may know that under UNSCAP, there is an organization, Center for Sustainable Agricultural Mechanization. We call it CSAM. So they are also trying to find a solution for the crop residue management. This organization has been working for the improved agriculture mechanization. This activity is part of that effort. So Marco, thank you very much. You are from Beijing, your headquarters. Good morning. Thank you very much. So over to you, Marco. Thank you.
Thank you, Noriko, and good morning, everybody. I really wanted to be there in person with you, but unfortunately we had other engagements. So I hope that participating online will also help share our work. So I'm very grateful for ADB for this invitation. We have been working on this issue, which is quite relevant for quite some time. But first, I just want to explain a little bit what the organization that I'm in represents. So CSAM, the Center for Sustainable Agricultural Mechanization, is based in Beijing, but it's a regional institution of ESCAP. ESCAP is the Regional Commission of the United Nations. So it's the development arm of the UN in Asia and the Pacific. And it's also the platform from where ADB originated. So we are somehow linked. But although our headquarters are in Bangkok, we have these regional institutions that target, with the mandate of the member states, very particular issues. And in our case, it's sustainable agricultural mechanization. So the center has been in China since 2003, but it used to have different names, such as Apcam or Arnam, and it was based in the Philippines and in Thailand before. So some of you may know a different name. The vision is basically to promote sustainable intensification of agriculture and promote sustainable agricultural mechanization in the region. And we serve all the 62 ESCAP member states and associate members, focusing on the Sustainable Development Goals, of course, and receiving the mandate from our member states. So in the next slide, as I said, if we look into sustainable intensification of agriculture, of course, a big issue to address is the burning of crop residue. And we started looking at the different impacts. I'm not going to repeat the ones mentioned earlier, but we In the next slide, you can see the issue is really a large scale for in the region. There's so much generation of crop residue that needs to be dealt with, and it needs to be dealt with quickly. And sometimes it's more important for the farmers to move on to the next season rather than worrying about the problems that the burning causes to the soil, to the health of the people, and to the overall fertility and productivity of the soil and the environmental impacts as well. So in the next slide, we have, of course, looked into the reasons for this. And altogether, apart from the ones listed here, the real reason is the lack of incentives for the farmers not to burn. So burning comes from a need of the farmers to move on quickly with the next season and the next planting. And there's a need for solutions, and we believe that agricultural machinery can contribute to these solutions, or at least is part of the solutions to the problem. But there is a lack of adequate machinery and equipment and techniques to treat the straw residue. So that's where, as Center for Sustainable Agricultural Mechanization, we tried to fill the gap. In the next slide, I think we have just a few alternatives uses of straw that we started looking into. Of course, these are very well known. There are many initiatives that are doing similar things. What we tried to do is to look at how mechanization, farm equipment, machinery can contribute to these. So reusing the straw as fertilizer, to integrate it into the fertilizer, to use it as fodder, energy sources, etc. So in the next slide, we came up with this CSEM regional initiative that was aiming at promoting a circular model for the straw utilization. You can see the scheme. It also kind of integrates all the solutions that we can contribute to with agricultural machinery, but mostly we look into how to implement it. And since we are part of the United Nations, we have this convening power with member states. So of course, our main counterpart is usually the Ministry of Agriculture. But we had to deal also with the fact that the adoption of machinery is somehow maybe resisted, or not only at the policy level, but also at the practical level. So we started creating pilot sites. So a series of demonstration projects, demonstration zones, where we can highlight the economic benefits of the solutions that we try to promote, but also study these solutions better and try to perfect them. And the overall goal then is to incentivize the adoption of the machinery solutions with farmers on one hand, with practical demonstrations where they can see the economic benefits that they will have, but also with the policymakers. So we will have hard data that we can use to show to the governments and try to increase the programs or subsidies or incentives for the use of mechanization solutions to reduce the burning of crop residue. So in the next slide, we have our first pilot project. We started in China because it's near where we are, but also because we partnered with the China Agricultural University, with local cooperatives and local governments, farmers associations, and agricultural machinery associations to focus on the first pilot site. And this was in Shandong province, in Laishi. And the kind of crops that were there is mostly wheat and maize. But it was the first step that helped us to look into, you can see in this next slide, the first results. Next slide, please. So we started looking at the kind of solutions that could be used, and this was integrated with livestock. So the agricultural cooperative that we worked with is quite large, so it helped us have an impact, and looking at different sizes of fields, different crops, and how to apply these different solutions, from returning the straw, mixing it with the soil, trying to use it as fertilizer, feeding a dairy farm, and looking even at different formulas for the feed so that the milk production could be increased. This was also integrated with a biogas digester, and with some community meetings with other agricultural cooperatives to kind of spread the practice. Next slide. And so we have a list of positive outcomes that we had. This first pilot has been going on from 2019 to 2023. There were, thanks to the China Agricultural University, we could really monitor the soil fertility and how the organic matter increased. We also looked into the economic output of the farms and the cooperatives. And I think it's in the next slide. There was an increase also in the income of the farmers. Next slide, please. So we monitored this. Of course, it was in a small scale, but it looked into alternative ways to increase the income of the farmers, not only through better yields or through the integration of mushroom production and other kinds of uses for the straw, but also including the straw in cattle fodder, and trying to improve the formula so that the milk production would increase. Then we moved on from this first pilot site to the region. And in the next slide, we have some data on the pilot project in Vietnam. This was a shorter timeline. It was from 2018 to 2019, somehow in parallel with the one in China, but also getting feedback from Vietnam and discussing with the Chinese counterparts and vice versa was very useful, especially for the mushroom component. In the next slide, we have when we scaled up and started having this larger project with 5 sites in Cambodia, Indonesia, and Nepal. This was a project that had a phase 1, which ran from 2019 to 2023. And it provided machinery to these sites. It locally adapted the machinery to the local conditions and assessed what were the best solutions related to the agricultural practices in these 3 countries and the different sites. Next slide. So again, we had, even though we had multiple sites in each country, we established a lead pilot where we had demonstrations and we had discussions also with other cooperatives or invited farmers in academia to look into the practices and make them better. So this was mostly adapting very simple machinery that can be used by the farmers, and it maybe without too much expense. Where there is more expensive machinery, we also try to support through the establishment of cooperatives or custom hiring associations where that can rent the machine to the farmers. But all in all, the kind of machinery that we looked at is very, very simple. We also looked at how to adapt it better to the local agricultural practices. So these included, there's a few examples here, the super seeder in Nepal. It's a minimum tillage seeder that can help sow in leaving the residue the field. In Cambodia, we looked mostly at balers for the quick collection and storage and transportation of the straw, choppers, cutters, etc. And in Indonesia, we also tried to look into the threshers, basically to improve the time in the collection and reuse of the straw residue. Next slide. So we had quite a few positive impacts. Basically, the increased mechanization index, which is something we look at. So the adoption in the provinces where the pilot locations were increased overall. And also we had demonstrated a better cost ratio benefit with and that implies a increased profit for the farmers. We improved the community engagement with relation to the other pilot sites because we reached out to more farming communities. And we started looking also at the issue of the gender yield gap. So we tried to involve more women farmers. The gender yield gap is the fact that many women farmers have a significantly lower yields and productivity than male farmers, and this is usually because they don't have access to equipment or machinery that would help them. Next slide. So all these studies and experiences we tried to synthesize in a series of policy briefs, and the idea is to use what we have achieved and demonstrated to then reach out to policymakers and try to make it at a larger scale. We've had so far 4 policy briefs for reducing the need to burn and how to apply sustainable agricultural mechanization to improve air quality. And these were issued for Cambodia, Indonesia, and Nepal specifically. And then we have a general one for South and Southeast Asia, which looked into also India and Pakistan and what they are doing. We had a specific publication for South Asia, this sustainable management of crop residues in Bangladesh, India, Nepal, and Pakistan. And we also developed a research paper on air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions, and this was in collaboration with the Environment and Development Division of ESCAP. So ESCAP has different divisions that work on multiple issues. For air pollution, I believe before the speaker before me mentioned collaboration with ESCAP. Usually on air pollution, it's the Environment Division, but we tried to work with them to look at hotspots, and that helped us, hotspots in the straw burning, and that helped us identify the pilot sites. So this initiative is now getting into the second phase. It will have 4 years starting from this year of new pilot sites being developed, and it's kind of gathering enough momentum and funding that allows us to continue having this kind of approach where we look at pilot sites, we try to look at local solutions, and then we have regional events where we share the experiences of the different countries. And these are not only with the countries in the pilot sites, but in different countries in the region as well. We started in 2019 in India with a study tour there. We invited some of the farmer representatives from the different countries that were working to visit and see what was being done in other countries. During COVID, we had a virtual modality for this with drones showing live the use of the machinery. And we also had first study tour in Thailand in 2022, and now Thailand is becoming the next country that will have a pilot site, and this can hopefully help both Thailand and Lao PDR. Next slide. So because of this approach of sharing the knowledge, we've had... Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Marco. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Now,
Sorry, there was a glitch from my side. I was saying because of this approach of knowledge sharing and trying to find solutions in different countries in the region, and then bringing the countries together to look into how upscale them or make them better, we received the commendation of the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation. So this was an initiative that was listed among their good practices in the South-South and Triangular Cooperation in 2022. Next slide. So we also received an innovation award for stakeholder engagement. This is an SCAP internal thing, but it was mostly because we managed to, apart from all the practical work we do in the field, we managed to find a way to bring it out to more stakeholders through these virtual workshops using drones and aerial images and videos live, so that the participants during COVID could also participate as if they were on site. Next slide. So, and this is my final, this is my last slide, just on
Okay, thank you.
ways we look at the fact that agricultural machinery can contribute to the different solutions, but it needs, as you see, identification of alternatives, make them context specific, adapted to the local conditions and needs, and we need the engagement of local communities and champions that we identify in our pilot sites. This helps us with larger trainings and capacity buildings, not only of the farmers, but of all the stakeholders involved. And most of all, regional and international cooperation and exchange. So because of this, I think later I will put in the chat the link to our next regional event, where if you are interested, you could join virtually. And it will be just first a workshop, and that's the only part where we will have the sharing of the knowledge in the different countries that have been working with us. And then we will move to a study tour through Shandong province and Hebei province in China. That one, unfortunately, cannot be held online, but I hope that if you're interested, you can reach out, and my contacts that are here in the last slide. You can reach out, and if you have ideas for partnering, we're very happy to bring in as many stakeholders as we can together to work together and look at the solutions that can be useful for other countries and other subregions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So can you show the last slide? I think Marco said that his contact, contact. Yes, okay. Anyhow, we will circulate this.
Yes, I can
Thank
also
you very much.
leave it in the chat, so I think everybody can see it. And I'll share the registration link. So if you register, we will send you the link to the event that will be on 19th and 20th of June. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Very interesting presentation. And this is very relevant to what we are doing in Pakistan. So we have been learning a lot from their pilot and previous experience of the activity. So we will continue to work with the CSAM and UNESCAP about the crop residue management with the mechanization. Thank you very much, Marco. Thank you. So
Thank
then
you.
the
Bye-bye.
next, yes, thank you. See you later. So then the last presentation of the session 1. So we would like to invite the Mr. Bernard Basseget. Sorry, this is maybe not the correct French pronunciation, but so he is a coordinator air pollution action area, the ICIMOD. He's from he's currently you are working in Kathmandu, Nepal. Thank you very much. Please, Bernard. Thank.
Okay. Can you hear me? No, but I prefer to take the control from here if you don't mind. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so my name is Bertrand Messanier. I'm the new air quality coordinator at ICIMOD. I started in March, so it's quite recent. And I will give you an overview of what we do at ECMOD on air quality management, and particularly in the agricultural sector, and see how we can collaborate with ADB, that we can collaborate already. Okay, just two words about ECMOD. So we are an intergovernmental organization operating over 8 countries surrounding the... Yeah, very close. Okay. We are operating over 8 countries surrounding the Hindu Kush Himalaya region, and our vision is a greener, more inclusion, and climate resilient HKH. Then air quality is an important component of our environment. So I will jump directly on this figure. So this is what we can get from our model. The picture is the PM2.5 concentration over the southeast and and east part of Asia for PM2.5 during several days. For NO2, it's much more a local aspect on the right. Yeah, sorry, and we don't have some troubles. Yeah, probably, yeah, but there is, okay. Okay. And also we can capture the problem of mineral dust coming from desert that are also an issue, particularly in the west part of our domain. Okay, now it should be under control now. This is what we have in terms of impact of air pollution on health. So this is a number of deaths attributable to air pollution, indoor and outdoor air pollution. So you can see the problem in the South Asia, the orange line, that is quite elevated compared to what we can have in Western Europe, for instance. And for some countries, like I took Bhutan in red, so the situation is better because the concentration of PM2.5 are lower in this country. So at ECMOD, we have 2 intervention on air quality. One on the left side is much more to support our regional member country to monitor the air quality. So we do training on site. We help them during mission on site to support them for the air quality, to support the maintenance of air quality stations, for instance. We have a dashboard at ECMOD I will show you. We provide, for instance, a forecast every day for air quality in HKH. And a second part on the right side is much more dedicated to assess the mitigation strategy to abate air pollutant emissions. And both action is to support for decision and user engagement. Decision, I would say, for the air quality monitoring, I would say to monitor for the short-term action plans. And on the mitigation, the assessment of mitigation strategy is much more to a long-term action plans. And finally, it's to upscale, to assess the mitigation strategy to upscale solution at the end. And we want to harmonize also the practice through the regional member country and to foster the regional dialogue. And regarding this regional dialogue, we have signed in the Kathmandu roadmap in 2022 about this willing to have this regional dialogue on air quality management. So the idea, one of the main outcomes of this regional dialogue is to develop a regional framework to work all together. So 4 countries have signed: India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Nepal. And ADB has received the invitation. You have invited for the next science policy dialogue end of June in Bhutan. So welcome, Karma. And we'll discuss the next step of this regional dialogue, and particularly probably we will provide a more concrete agenda for the next step. Our dashboard is the following. So you can have it. It's freely available on internet. You can have a forecast for the region, quality forecast. And we have done this kind of dashboard also dedicated to dashboard for Bhutan and Nepal. So we have sent this dashboard to them so that they can manage by themselves the air quality with this kind of forecast. And as I said, we do many missions of maintenance in the RMCs, and we do also a lot of training at TC-Mod to support the teams in the countries. This is an overview of the station we support. Yes, on the left side in yellow, you can see all the station. Okay. All the station we can support. Yeah, right, this side. Bidia will come back on this. We have a project support by the USDOS to, in fact, instead of burning crop residue, to create pellets and then avoid using fossil fuel for the industry. This is for the brick kiln, but could be used for cement industry. And so this will be much more detailed by Bidia in the next presentation. Okay, coming back to focusing on agriculture, I took the last figures of the, I don't know if you know this emission inventory, EDGAR, that is a global emission inventory that is released more or less every 2 years. It was in the past I worked at the European Commission. It was in my team, in fact. They deliver this inventory very frequently. And the next release was done in May, so it's quite recent, 2 weeks ago. So this is a new emission inventory. It's a 10-kilometer emission inventory. So I got the last figure. As you can see, agricultural waste burning. So it's not the first emitting, for instance, PM 2.5, the third. But during the season, March, probably in April, it could be one of the most important emission sectors for PM 2.5. Regarding agricultural emissions, initially, particularly in Europe, we are talking about agriculture for air pollution. We think about ammonia. Ammonia emission is the main contributor of agriculture is the main contributor for ammonia emissions. Usually with a country with a strong agricultural activity sectors, it's about 90% of emission coming from agriculture for the anthropogenic emissions. It comes from the fertilizers that are used for in the agriculture. And even in Nepal, that are a lower activity sector, it's quite important. It's more than 50%. What we want to create at EC-Mod, and I think it will be useful for the whole South Asia, and we can also extend to other countries in the Southeast Asia, is to develop a high-resolution emission inventory. So far, this global emission inventory is at something like 10-kilometer resolution, and we want to downscale it at 1-kilometer emission. And that way, it will be quite useful for models to capture the main pattern of air pollution. So this is one of our goals, and after we can better assess the mitigation strategies with models. Also, we have to keep an eye on ozone because ozone is increasing everywhere in the world now, and we don't know exactly why. We have issued a report at the European Commission when I was there about the impact of ozone on methane. So probably it's due to an emission increase, of emission everywhere of methane, but also it could be due to the climate change also. So we don't know what is the exact reasons. But anyway, there is a link, and methane emission is very important, and agriculture is an important sector for methane emission. Probably one of the first one with energy and waste management. Also, we are going to work on the health impact of air pollution. and particularly at the subnational scale. So far, we have some figures and numbers at the national scales, and we are going to have very soon a workshop with the Health Effect Institute to see how we can work up to the subnational scale. So we need some data. It's not a big deal. The methodology are there. We just need some data to do this downscaling. Just as a first flavor, we are gathering some data from the European Commission. They run some scenario, the next eclipse scenario, integrating air pollution mitigation strategy and climate change, and to see the impact of reducing methane, particularly, and what could be the impact on mortalities, because the ozone impact also on health and crops, because you reduce the crop yields if you have too much ozone. So we are working on it, and probably we will release a paper, or yes, a short paper. And so I can summarize some works we can do probably together. So probably you will be interested by this high resolution emission inventory we are going to work on. We can analyze the impact of the agricultural sector in general. It can be the agricultural waste, crop burning, or ammonia on air pollution, and also this impact of methane-related ozone, I would say, on crop yields and mortality, because methane is mainly mainly emitted by agriculture. So I stop here. Thank you very much. This is the team of the full team at ICIMOD. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's again very interesting presentation, and thank you the team of ICIMOD. Thank you very much. So Kalma, he proposed some kind of possible collaboration with ADB. So perhaps we could look at those proposals later, and then maybe we could think how we can reflect those, incorporate their proposal into our future activity, perhaps. Thank you very much. Thank you. So then we now finished 3 presentation and overview on this clean air. Any like a short major question, if you have anything, even from the participant online, if you have any. Okay, so you can put the question in a chat box and then they send it to us. That's also okay. So then perhaps we should move to the next session. The section 2 is country experience of Pakistan. So this is exactly I have been involved in the activity and the study in Pakistan. So we really would like to share our findings and experience in Pakistan on the crop residue management. So it was a bit long journey for us. We started this kind of activity a couple of years ago, and then we found that, okay, perhaps, we can contribute something to the crop residue management in Pakistan. So first presentation is from Ms. Amina Bajwa. She will talk about why Pakistani farmer ban crop residue and what can be the solutions. So Amina, please start your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Noriko. So very quickly, I'll go over the scenario in Pakistan and what are the possible solutions to address this regional problem. So to start with, number 1, no. I need to stand here because this won't work. Oh, because this is a short video. Otherwise, you can share the previous one that I shared. Do you have a slot? Yes, I do. No. This is not the one?
It might work, but maybe we can just show the whole thing, whole presentation of on the camera with the audience cannot see. Just the camera, the presentation over there, because Anina did not join using her laptop, not shared on that. So maybe we can just the camera focus this on me, including the presentation, so people the best. So we need to put presentation. Yeah, great. Yeah.
Or you need to see?
No, no, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think now it's better. So to start, we need to see where the residues come from. Now, not all crops generate residues that cannot be used. For example, crops like pulses and also vegetables, they do not really generate residues. But the key crops, at least in Pakistan and the northern region of South Asia, rice, wheat, sugarcane, maize, and cotton, these are the key crops that generate residues. Once there's a direct correlation between the area on which these crops are grown and the biomass that is produced. The biomass produced can sometimes be used sustainably, but sometimes it is not used sustainably because there is no demand or there is no value for it. For example, in Pakistan, on average, 20% of all crop residues are used sustainably as cattle feed, as bedding for livestock, and also as domestic fuel. One example from Pakistan is the cotton residue is used as the cotton sticks are used as domestic fuel for household cooking. However, rice straw produces the highest amount of residue that is not used sustainably. So 72% of rice straw residue is actually burnt in Pakistan. Now, why do farmers burn this? So the key reason is that number one, with increased use of machinery that is not appropriate, for example, the use of combined harvesters, which is used for the wheat harvest and also for rice harvest, the methods do not cut the stalk or the residue from the bottom. So that leaves an extra stock in the field. Resources and labor is being reduced in Pakistan and across the country. As we can see, the percentage of population engaged in agriculture sector is reducing, which means they do not have the resources to collect that straw and use it for other purpose. There are also poor access to equipment or machinery. For example, lack of appropriate machinery for collection of straws, for making bales out of it, or for chopping the straw. Sometimes low-till seeders are also not available. The main problem is that all this machinery is required at the same time. So even if some machinery is available at the same time across large areas of places where crops are produced, it may not be available. And lastly, there's a tight seeding schedule. This is one of the critical reasons in Pakistan, in Punjab in particular, which is the largest crop growing areas. Rice and wheat, they're both grown 2 crops a year. And now with a introduction of hybrid rice varieties that are short duration, farmers are now trying to get 3 crops a year, which is 2 crops for rice and 1 crop for wheat, which means the seeding schedule is going to become tighter. And when you don't have enough time, then farmers find the easiest, the quickest, the most efficient way is to burn the residues in the field. Now, let's look at the fire hotspots and the frequency across Pakistan. I've put together a very short video. It's a 20-second clip. This shows a month-wise image of Pakistan of where the problem lies. Now, if you see, there are some months, in particular October, November, and then April, May, June. These are the months where there's the highest amount of burning that is happening. This is satellite data from NASA. Now, what are in a snapshot? When we looked at this deeper, we saw that the wheat rice cropping system, which is the biggest cropping system in Pakistan, generates the maximum crop residues in the country. And estimates suggest that over 80,000 hectares of area in the summer crop, and over 40,000 hectares of area, which is the wheat crop in the winter, is actually burnt. Now, what happens when residues are burnt? As my colleagues have mentioned upon it, a lot of gases such as nitrous oxide and methanes are produced. One example is the study that was conducted in India showed that rice generates the highest amount of methane and nitrous oxide, followed by wheat. Open burning leads to high particulate matter, or the PM level, which creates smog that we're all aware of, a big problem in the winters in northern Pakistan. And black carbon has been contributing more than 50% to accelerated glacial melting across the world. And Pakistan, again, is one of the main victims when it comes to glacial melting, because we have more and more floods, extreme events of climate, glacial melting each year. So looking at the air quality in Pakistan, last year Pakistan ranked second in the list of countries with worst air quality. And 6 out of 10 most polluted cities in Pakistan are just in one province. That is the province of Punjab, where all the crops, majority of the crops, specifically the rice and wheat cropping system is present. Of the 309 monitored days in Lahore, which is the capital of Punjab, there were only 17 good air quality days. That just gives an example of how bad the situation is. Now, looking at data of the PM 2.5 concentration levels, we can see there's a big spike in the winter months. This is when the rice residues are burnt, and the level, anything above 50, is over 10 times of WHO recommended limits. So the scale of this is just very big. Another concerning factor is that every year the situation is getting worse. So for example, the chart on the right, you can see a 25% increase in the concentration levels over 4 years, just 4 years. So if we don't act now, it's going to become a bigger problem in the coming years. Globally, air pollution reduces 2.2 years of life expectancy. In Pakistan, that's almost double. Welfare cost is estimated by the World Bank at 9% of GDP in Pakistan. However, the cost of improving is significantly lower. We also heard today that 7 million deaths each year occur due to air pollution. In Pakistan, that number is about 236,000 deaths each year due to air pollution. And OECD projects a 1% GDP loss for South Asian countries due to this problem. And on the right, you can see the trends of high concentration and GDP. Mean the countries in pink are the South Asian countries, which means this is a bigger problem in South Asia compared to the rest of the world. Now, what can be done about it? So number one, we believe that we need to initiate mechanization. And for that, we need to increase the scale and the availability and the access for machinery that efficiently controls residues. This can be done through provision of machinery through a service provider model. That means the poor farmer, the smallholder farmer who cannot afford large machinery, can at least rent it through the service providers and use it for their fields. Secondly, we need to increase awareness of farmers by increasing field demonstrations, good farming practices, in order to improve air quality management. So as I mentioned earlier, the wheat and rice cropping system is the main culprit of air pollution in Punjab, at least. When we look at the machinery available to tackle this, so we conducted a survey, and my colleague will talk about it. The results show that in rice harvest, if we have dedicated rice harvester or head half-feed harvester along with baling equipments, that can significantly reduce the need to burn crop residues later, because this is where the tight seeding schedule time is. So in order to address it, in the wheat sowing time, if we have reduced till seeder, again, this is introduced in Pakistan, but availability of mass scale is a problem because the demand comes at the same time. Super seeder, it's also called happy seeder in India and in Nepal. At the time of wheat harvest, if we have new or modified combined harvester along with the wheat straw chopping equipment and a baler machine, this can help and avoid the burning incidents that come in May. Again, this is a phenomena that was not looked into earlier, but when we looked at NASA data, we saw that post wheat harvest burning is also a problem. It's just that because it's the summer and the air quality, air conditions are such that we cannot visibly see, we do not act upon it. And lastly, rice sowing, if we have nursery sowing machine or mechanical transplanter, this can also cater to reducing the time to sow and therefore disincentivizing the farmer to burn crop for time purposes. Secondly, the local manufacturing of farm implements in the country, in Pakistan, it is increasing, but the problem is it comes without standards, without testing of machinery, which results in poor quality, and that leads to yield losses and harvest losses, and also a loss of farmer confidence in machinery. So we propose that ADB is helping Government of Punjab set up the first machinery testing center in order to improve the machinery that is locally produced, such as the low tillage seeders. Proposal number 3 is to diversify uses of crop residue and to generate a value for residues of rice and wheat crop. Integrated straw management, as my colleague Marco also mentioned, is one of the successful techniques that has been used in the region. Straw to be used as fertilizer. This comes with a regenerative farming or nature-based farming that we're talking about. You incorporate it in soil as mulch using choppers and mulchers, and then you sow new seed through low tillage seeders. And this, reduces your cost of fertilizer, which is increasing in Pakistan each year, and it also improves the soil health. Number 2 is biofuel production. You can generate ethanol from rice residues to increase the utilization, and globally 20% of world's rice straw is actually used to produce 40 billion liters of ethanol. This is one area that has to be investigated. It can be studied in Pakistan. Secondly, pellet making for household and industry use, again, as to be used as energy. And biogas digester equipment, this has been introduced in India. We can study more about it and see the uses in Pakistan. Mushroom cultivation, use of straw as base material for mushroom cultivation. The substrate can again be reused as natural fertilizer for horticulture. And this has been successful in Vietnam and China, and we can further look into the uses of this in Pakistan. Lastly, policy and advocacy. We need improved monitoring and reporting of fire hotspots, of air quality data in order to take more action. Legislation and enforcement in Pakistan, for example, open burning of fields residues is banned. However, enforcement is weak, so farmers continue to do this. We also need preparation of crop residue management policy at both the federal and the provincial levels. Incentivize the farmers, how? Maybe through introduction of carbon credit schemes, because still the farmer is incentivized to save or to sell their residues. None of these solutions is going to work. Awareness raising and capacity building, as mentioned previously, of course, and then regional cooperation for integrated approach. Why? Because this is a cross-boundary issue. So lastly, let's make burning a burning issue and act on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Amina. Very interesting presentation. This is what we have been doing in Pakistan, and there's some findings. So thank you very much. So now, together we did some pilot testing of the using machine, and then what would be the impact through that study, activity and the impact study. We found the why farmer ban, and then what are the solutions. So economist, the Takashi Yamano and my team conducted very interesting impact evaluation with the ERDI support. So I would like to invite Babur Wasim, so our DB consultant, and then he is going to show us very interesting the numbers and the figures. The farmer can adopt those solutions in terms of economic benefit. So Babur, please make a presentation.
Thank you very much, Noriko. Yeah. Okay, my presentation will focus on sharing some results that are basically collected based on an random experiment that we conducted in Punjab. Next slide, please. Okay. As Amna also mentioned in her presentation that rice wheat system is the dominant cropping system in Pakistan. Around 35 to 40% area, cultivated area in Pakistan is where rice and wheat is grown in alternate seasons. And the rest of area, there is a wheat, almost 100% farmers, they grow wheat, but rice wheat system is practiced in around 40% of area. And Punjab is the biggest province, or you can say the food basket, or the biggest producer of wheat and rice in the country. If you look at the Punjab's contribution, Punjab is one of the largest province in Pakistan. It contributes around 76% in the wheat production of the country, and around 62% in the rice production, and around 91% in maize production. So Punjab is the biggest producer as well as definitely biggest contributor towards this stubble burning and residual burning. Okay. Considering the importance of Punjab, in 2020, ADB provided a technical assistance to Punjab Agriculture Department to enhance the technology-based agriculture and marketing in rural Punjab. And the focus of this technical assistance was at improving the farmers' profitability through reduced harvest losses and improve the quality of produce. So this was the main objective of the TA. Under this technical assistance, 60 technology demonstrations in 32 villages in 4 districts of Punjab were conducted over the period of 3 years, starting from 2020 to 2023. During this period, we did demonstrations during 2 wheat seasons. First year we couldn't do because of the COVID problem. It was difficult to start the demonstrations. We covered 3 rice seasons and 5 maize seasons. Maize is grown in 2 seasons in Pakistan, spring maize and autumn maize. So we managed to cover 5 maize seasons. And in these demonstrations, around 16,000 farmers participated for all 3 crops and for the entire season. As the focus of this presentation is on a rice crop, therefore I'm just showing the technologies that we demonstrated for the rice crop only. On the left side, this machine, it's New Holland 8070 full feed machine. When we say full feed machine, it's take the grains and the straw in one go, and it's just separate the grains, thresh the grains, and then throw back the straws on the land, on the field. And this basically machine is designed for the wheat crop. It is suitable for the wheat crop. But as it was available in the country, farmers have started using it for the rice as well. So this is the most common machine used for the both rice and wheat harvesting in Punjab. This is the conventionally used machine, but its grain losses are high. I will show that on the next slide. So under the TA, we introduced 2 machines which are specifically designed for the rice harvesting. One is this Kabuta ER112 half feed machine. Half feed machine, it's basically it's separate the grains from the straw and throw out the complete straw on the ground. On the other side, it is a full feed machine, Thinker XG750S full feed machines. Full feed machine, it's take the it cut the plant and it separate the grains and also chop the straw that is in the machine. So this machine was suitable for the standing rice crop, while this Thinker machine is more suitable, effective in case of lodged and semi-lodged rice crops. Because Kabuta, when there is after the monsoon season, if crop lodged, then this Kabuta, it's difficult to move in the field because it is a reel-based, it's not wheel-based crop. Okay, next. Okay, so during these demonstrations, 60 demonstrations that we did, our team of agriculture engineers, they were continuously collecting the data from the ground, comparing the grain losses, impurities, grain breakage of different machines. When they were doing demonstrations, they were comparing it with the conventional machines. So if we look at these numbers, this is New Holland, that is conventional machine, basically wheat harvester. This is Kabuta, rice specific, and Thinker rice specific machines. If you look at the field losses, this conventionally used machine has the highest field losses, grain losses, that is around 3.6%. While these Kabuta and Thinker machines, these have less than 2% grain losses. If you look at the impurities, again, this wheat combine harvester has around 4% impurities in the produce, which means it's directly affecting the quality of the produce. And while the Kabuta has less than 1% impurities, Thinker has around 2%. If we look at the percentage of the broken grains, uh, New Holland has around 1.7% broken grains, while these other machines, they have less than 1%, especially Kabuta has less than 5% broken grains. This grain quality impurities and broken grains. This is very important because rice is an export commodity in case of Pakistan. So if there are impurities or the tip is broken during the harvesting time, it is not exportable anymore. So the economic loss is very high, even the percentage is small. So not only the grain losses, but the quality of the remaining produce that after the grain losses deteriorates if you harvest it through the New Holland machines. So as at the start, I mentioned that this was the objective to reduce the field losses or to uh, uh, improve the farmers' profitability and in productivity by reducing the grain losses and improving the quality of the produce. This was the main intention or objective of the TA. But at the end of the while collecting this data, we also found that the stubble height that is left on the ground, if you harvest the crop with New Holland machine, it is around 13 to 15 inches. While with Kabuta machine, another it is around 5 to 6 or 5 to 10 inches with Thinker, but around 5 to 6 inches if you harvest with the Kabuta machine. Okay, if this was kind of unintended outcome, like not the objective of our technical assistance, but this was one of the interesting finding. If the stubble height is high, around 13 to 15 inches, then farmer has to rotate the land 2 to 3 times to prepare it for the next sowing, which means it increase the cost of the preparation of the land for the next sowing. But if it is harvested, the rice crop is harvested by the Kabuta machine, the farmer have to use the rotavator only once, so they can reduce the cost of land preparation by at least 50%. So farmer look at all these things from the economic lens. They don't look at the things but from the environmental point of view. But this is kind of an unintended benefit for the environmental protection or clean air. There's a report of FAO that was published in 2019. That report mentions that till late 1990s, uh, rice crop was harvested manually by the farmers in Punjab. And till that time, they were using the crop residual as a fodder for their animals. But in 2000, late 1990s or early 2000, this wheat combine harvester became popular among farmers and it became more available. So they started using for the wheat and rice system. And since then, they were not able to cut the wheat straw from the like lower on the ground, and they started burning it. So this issue is like increased in last 2 3 years, and this is increased with the mechanization. It's mean not only the mechanization is important, but right mechanization is important. And the main reason, as I mentioned earlier, that the main reason is they to save the labor cost. Why they burn? Because they can save the labor cost. They can reduce this labor cost. Okay. So after while this TA was done, it was a different TA under the economist group of ADB. We did impact evaluation of this TA 9838, that enhancing mechanization in among the farmers, small farmers in Punjab. So to do the impact evaluation, we designed a cluster randomized control trial where we allocated some villages to the treatment group and some to the control groups. There were 32 groups, 32 villages where we did the demonstration, technology demonstrations, and we selected another 30 villages where which were identical to those treatment group, but no demonstration was provided to that. But otherwise, they have equal access to the similar kind of machinery. Farmers were equally qualified or equally knowledgeable about the new machines available in their area. So otherwise they were similar, but the only difference was technology demonstrations by Asian Development Bank. Uh, Farmer listing we did in 2020, we listed more than 11,000 farmers in that area, in those villages, 62 villages, 32 demo villages, and 30 control villages. We did 3 rounds of surveys. Baseline survey in September 2020, midline survey in October, December 2021, and endline survey in 2023, right after the harvesting of the rice crops. And same 1,560 farmers were surveyed, out of which 1,050 were the rice growers. The same set of farmers were interviewed in the 3 round of the surveys to collect the longitudinal data on the changing practices, farming practice, harvesting practices. And the benefits, those are the first data I showed you, that was the data collected by our engineers teams on the ground. So that is more precise or more accurately collected. But how it was perceived by the farmers, if the farmers were also realizing that there is a benefit in there is a reduction in the grain losses, harvest losses, there is a reduction in the impurities or the grain breakage or not. So under this survey, we asked these questions to farmers. So these farmers also realized that they mentioned these benefits of using this Kabuta machine over the combined harvester: precise harvesting, minimal grain losses, little impurities, negligible grain breakage, less stubble height. This picture is like showing it's 5 to 6 inches height of the stubbles if it is harvested by the Kabuta. No straw burning, because they just have to rotate the land only once. Straw for the feeding livestock. So the straw they save, because it is a half feeder, so the straw, entire length of the straw is saved. So it can be used as a fodder for the animals, or they can sell that straw to some paper factory in neighboring villages or neighboring areas. So they can make money out of this straw. So we translated all these benefits into economic value. We try to compute how much money they can save from these different angles. Okay, the first is the cost of wheat combine harvester. Wheat combine harvester cost is around $16.3 per acre uh, uh, for the combined harvester, and the cost of paddy harvester, that is half feeder, is around 36 US dollars, which means it is more than double at the time of the baseline. And similarly, if we look at this at the end line, the cost of wheat combine harvester is around $28 per acre, while the cost of this paddy harvester is around 50 US dollars. So if farmer just compare this cost to choose between the combined harvester and the Kabuta, definitely he will go for this combined harvester, because he can save around $25 per acre by just choosing the combined harvester. So we try to convert the benefits of using the Kabuta and check if the overall benefit it's more than the additional cost that comes through the Kabuta or not, because farmer is not interested in the environment. So unless he has some economic benefit, he will not be ready to pay this $25 extra by just choosing the Kabuta machine. So if we look at the reduction in the harvest losses, this is kg per acre. So around 1 kg they can save per acre because they can save more grains. Again, this is comparison of only the half feeder and the combined harvester. Additional price of the paddy harvested by the rice harvester, they can get, okay, this is USD, sorry. This is USD per 40 kg. They can get around half a dollar additional price as a premium on because the quality of the produce that is harvested by the Kabuta is better than the one that is harvested by the combined harvester. So it's mean whatever the total quantity of the produce is, on on every 40 kg, they can make around 50 cents extra. Price of the straw saved by the rice harvester, that is around 32 USDs per acre they can save. So it is a big cost. They can either use it as a fodder, or they can sell to some livestock farmer or some paper factory. Cost saving in the land preparation for the next sowing, that is USD per acre, is around 13 to 14 USD, and this price is increasing because of the increasing prices of the fuel and machine services. So if we convert this entire benefit into one figure, the net benefit per acre is around, it was around $81 in 2020, and now it stands around $104 per acre in 2023, which is a big amount for the farmers from. Okay, so we checked if these numbers that we are computing, they have significant impact or not. So we used a more complex regression model to find out this. So if we look at these numbers after controlling for all other variables, we find that the impact of demonstration is significant, like where we find these steric. It's a positive and significant impact on the reduction in harvest losses, and it is positive and significant impact on the price of straw saved by the rice harvest. On other variables, the impact is insignificant, which mean even like that benefit that we just showed in the last slide, if not all from all areas we are not making the profit, at least in 2 areas there are significant evidence that we can save the money. So and net benefit is positive, that we can know. Okay. Now, if we come towards the adoption, if farmers are ready to adopt this technology or not, these are this blue line is the control areas, control villages, and this gray or black line is treatment villages where we did these technology demonstrations. So if we look at the increase in the demonstrations, this is around 25%, while the increase in the control villages is around 18%. So it's mean the additional 7-8% increase in the technology adoption that is attributable to these technology demonstrations. But this adoption didn't increase as much as we were expecting at the start of the TA. So we asked the farmers why it didn't fly, why they didn't adopt that, although they realized the benefits. So the main reason they were not able to adopt this technology is non-availability of the machines at the right time. So we asked about the intent for the adoption. If this machine becomes available, whether they are ready to adopt that or not. And that intent stands around at 93% among the treatment farmers and around 86% among the control farmers. So intent is very high, but adoption it's slow because the non-availability of the machines. Then we did another survey recently. That is basically the agriculture mechanization study, where we interviewed around 1,056 farmers and around 1,226 service providers across Punjab in 26 districts of Punjab. Punjab has 38 districts, and we surveyed 174 clusters in 26 districts. These green areas basically show the districts that we covered in Punjab. And these area is just rain-fed area, so no like major crop is grown here. Then we asked about the major barrier in adoption of the Kabuta rice harvester from the farmers, not only in the demo villages, but across the province. Non-availability of machine during the peak harvest season is a major reason that is mentioned by the farmers. So it means supply side issues. Higher rental charges. Higher rental charges mean the service provider, the fee they charge to provide the machine for 1 acre of land, those are high for the Kabuta harvester as compared to combine harvester. And probably that is again a supply side problem. If there are less number of machines available, there is a high demand, so price will be high. And when we asked the service provider what are the problems on their end, they identified high initial investment in the machines, and second, longer recovery period. Longer recovery period means if they invest in the combine harvester can be used for the wheat crop, rice crop, and also for some pulses. So it's mean the machine is used throughout the year. So they can recover their initial investment cost in 2 to 3 years. But if they invest in the rice Kabuta machines or rice harvesters, it will be used only once in a year. So the recovery period increases. So these are the major barriers on the side of service provider, and these are major barriers identified by the farmers. So conclusion is identification of the right machinery is important, but to curb the we need to supplement that. If even you identify the right machinery, the adoption will be very slow. To enhance or to speed up the adoption, supplementary initiatives such as a targeted awareness program and financial incentive for farmers are needed to promote the use of these machineries. If you do not run these awareness program, farmer will be just comparing the cost of this combine harvester and Kubota. So you need to educate them that there are benefits, other benefits that get basically the balance out, or that will be higher than the extra cost they are going to pay. So this intervention is very important, and that is we have the evidence from this experiment that adoption was high in the among the treatment farmers. Second, considering the high investment cost involved in buying the machines and the longer recovery period, any proposed model for delivering mechanization should be refined to ensure its feasibility and scalability. For example, subsidy provision at the start to buy the machine, and maybe subsidy to the farmers to on the rents they pay to the service provider. So it can increase the adoption in the initial years, and service providers can recover their money in the initial investment in initial years. Or second option could be subsidized loan to the service provider. Definitely not farmers, because farmers are not the service providers, right? So these supplementary initiatives are also very important, along with the identification of the right machines and to in creating the awareness among farmers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a quite interesting, like a study which we conducted in Pakistan. Thank you, Takashi. I think if he's attending today. So thank you very much for his and his economic department teams as help to us in Pakistan. Thank you. Okay, so then the last presentation of this session 2, I would like to invite Mr. Shahid Taral. Shahid Saab, are you here from Pakistan? Thank you.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Thank you. So Mr. Shahid Taral is the CEO of Galaxy Rice Mills in Pakistan. He's the one of the leading rice exporters in Pakistan, and then also he has been engaged in this like sustainable rice production and low carbon rice production. So we have been working with him. We are learning a lot from his actual experience in Pakistan. Shahid Saab, if you'd like you to share your actual experience in the rice production, and then the like strengthening this like a low carbon agriculture, and then the low carbon rice production in Pakistan. Thank you. Please.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So as Noriko introduced me, we're working in Pakistan with local farmers to grow sustainable rice. I think as far as residue is concerned and the Pakistan dynamics, Amna and Dr. Babu covered quite a lot of stuff. So I'm going to try to avoid repetition and just focus on some different things. So if you can move next to the next slide, please. Yeah, this is just the general, obviously you guys are all experts, know this, in terms of crop residue management. I mean, we are increasingly seeing it more as an approach from a regenerative agriculture or sustainable rice, so that, it should be something that's reduces, tillage and trying to utilize as much as possible of the previous residue into the soil and into the next crop. That's how we see the crop, residue management approach. Next. So these are the benefits. Of course, we've been through these. If we talk about soil nutrition, the economic benefits, Dr. Babar and others talked about this. Soil health, of course, the more you can retain all the nutrients in the soil, that goes on to support soil health and water conservation as well. I mean, we're growing sustainable rice in the local farm area, and there's techniques like alternative wetting and drying, but increasing the soil's capacity to retain moisture and to hold water is one of the key factors, actually, which we forget. So yes, reducing water application, but increasing the soil's capacity is a big factor. So these are the challenges. I think they've been summarized well, but again, one of the problems is that that compared to wheat, the rice residue is less popular because it's much harsher. It has a higher silica content. So it will have limitations on how much it will be used for fodder. And as both Amna and Dr. Babu talked about, the implements that are not suitable at the moment, most of it, the combine harvesters are actually wheat harvesters that have been converted to rice. And there are rice specialist harvesters coming now, but again, there's not enough. And even in cases where there are, and I'll mention this later, the straw, the value of it and the way it's being handled is a problem. So then, of course, the actual intensification of farming is increasing as it's increasing demand. So this year we saw record export of rice we're seeing from Pakistan because of the ban for long grain from India. And the area each year is increasing, the intensity is increasing. As Amna mentioned, says some areas even looking for 2 rice crops, which has never happened in Pakistan before. It's not normal practice. And so the intensity is increasing. So that means obviously there's more biomass there in the end. Also, the newer hybrid varieties, the way they're being bred, is that there is more vegetative mass as well at the trailer. So that actually leads to more stubble or stronger or bigger stubble at the end as well. Despite however you cut it, the actual what's left over, there's more mass there because of the variety in the first place. And of course, it's, this whole process is labor intensive, and we know all the labor issues. Next, please. So of course, then, the farmers go on and that's a solution we all know of, that they go on to burn this. And next. One of the problems has been actually that, the farmers in Pakistan, as this became, against the law to burn the straw, and literally they tried to clamp down on this, but there aren't any alternatives. So you can demonize them, you can make, criminals out of them. And most farmers will, if they've got a small bit of land holding, they'll just do it at night and, in the evening, and then overnight it gets burnt. And in the morning, sometimes if it's a small farm, they'll just quickly plow the land. And that's it, get rid of the evidence. So it's not really practical to just make it a criminal offense to burn the stubble while not providing viable alternatives. Next. And I think some of the other presenters have covered this. So overall, the tonnage and the mass of biomass that's been burnt in Asia with all these gases being emitted. Next. Yeah, so this is just another sort of presentation of what the other presenters have said in terms of the value chain. And, what we try to do is as we're working with farmers, we have an extension service, is, where can we fill these gaps? How can we bring in service providers, connect service providers with farmers, whether it's for transplanting or whether it's for harvesting when it's available. So try to aggregate that supply and demand. And, the issue is, again, it's this sort of, once it's harvested, even if you have a Kabuta harvester or the right quality harvester, it's the collection, the baling machinery is not available. And I'll come to that next, what I think the sort of the market approach should be. And this is just some examples of, carry on. Yeah. Just in sort of, mechanization in Vietnam, where they've, collected the bales, and then they've, the economic value of that. So Dr. Barbara Leon touched in, I think he saw, roughly it was a $40 benefit of the value of the straw per acre. And I think But for us, the way we look at it is that actually, yes, that value is, the straw value is there, but it has limitations. If we were to collect more, that may be the current sort of value now, because there is some value demand for fodder, but it's used as a combination of dry fodder with fresh fodder, but there's limitations to that. So I think really the way to unlock this is really through the energy market. So next. So these are some of the for the fodder applications, if we talk about this, on again examples of Vietnam, where it's been used as fresh silage at a small farm level or even at a mass scale. And you can, add nitrogen to this, and it will then make it more digestible, make it easier to be used as fodder. This is one of the problems as compared to the wheat straw, that it's actually less popular and it's not preferred by cattle or farmers. So, being able to apply urea to this, you can make it sort of softer and basically, more digestible. Next. This is some of the, I think, so this is, it's missing here, but one of the issues is that during the rice harvest, agriculture is sort of blamed and farmers are demonized for being the causes of this. And actually, the side sort of bar is missing, but actually it's industry and transport are the largest contributors of, pollution to the smog that we have, especially in Punjab. So agriculture is only about 20-25%. And the problem is actually that it's just the timing. And because increasingly there are bigger scale farming, there is more burning going on, but now the weather patterns changed, and just the drier climate leads to more residual, the smog and the particulates there that carry the air pollutants. The farmer's argument is that we've always done this, so what's different now? Why is there actually, we're not the cause of this, because we've always had this practice. Suddenly now we're being blamed for this. So it's a combination of all these things, more transport, change of climate, and, bigger crop to burn as well. Next. So this is just, an example of the air quality Amna mentioned. So if you go next, I think there's an actual, these are the two comparisons between January, and I think Lahore was at one point number 2 in the ranked in the world most polluted, and this is in April. So you can see the difference. It's just that in December, January, the weather's drier. There is a natural the environment is more conducive as well for the particulates to carry the pollutants. And then there's also on top of that, obviously, there's this smog burning. So it's not like this the whole year. Next. Yeah, so sorry, can you just go back? I'd like to go back a bit. I just wanted to come back to this point of a bit more. This is it here. So just this point, sorry, next. Yeah. So on this, I think for me, the key takeaway would be from the private sector. I think that unless we make this a market-driven solution, it's not really viable and scalable. Yes, organizations like ADB and the government can support farmers and to take initiatives to create impetus, but it has to be a market-driven thing. So I'll give you an example. We've been in the rice business for over 20 years, exporting, and when we first started, rice husk was something that we paid people to carry off. It was a big burden. It was just the storage, finding the space. It would just pile up, and you would constantly have to pay people to take it away. And then as the energy crisis worsened, and also within the rice industries, there's been a big change. So traditionally, it would just be raw white rice, but over the last 20 years, there's more parboiling and steaming technology, which requires more energy. So you're using steam generated by in-house boilers to process that rice. So those millers that actually produce steam or parboiling, in most cases, they end up having to buy rice husk in. So they use all of their own, and then they buy some more in from other millers. So, and the value of that is, let's say, November, December on average, it's about $35 a ton. And now, let's say, it is off season technically in June, July. And I checked yesterday, it's about, I think, $55. So it's an increase of 60% from November, December, when obviously because there's more available, there's more milling going on, and the crop comes in, to versus now. Now that's not just used by rice, the sector. So anywhere where boilers are used, whether it's textiles or paper industry or others, and the energy problem in Pakistan, everyone knows. And of course, this works in correlation with as utility costs increase and prices increase. So what we propose is that, yes, you can bale it, but there should be a big emphasis on then trying to transfer that into pellets or usable energy, whether it's household or industry. And I think if you made it available into a usable part for industry, I think that would crack it. That would incentivize. The problem is currently because, okay, there is some kabuta, and when it started with these small machines a couple of years ago, the value was almost that this value of the straw would pay off to the service provider. But then they're using it for fodder. The application isn't there en masse at the last part of that supply chain. So I think if you create that product where you're converting it into a usable energy input, then that opens up a whole new market in terms of transportation, in terms of storage. So for instance, if a product value is going to increase by 50, 60% in 6 months, of course, people will invest in storage. There's also this big variation within somewhere like Punjab where there's a core area of basmati milling, and versus somewhere there's other areas where there may be, demand for this husk, but rice isn't there. But trying to transport that in big, bulky bulk form it's very difficult. Yes, baler would be more efficient and that could be done, but currently sometimes if someone's been in Pakistan in November, December, they may see like big tractor trailers with huge jumbo bags full of rice straw or other sort of straw being carried, but increasingly the road restrictions, and actually finally we have some traffic laws being implemented, so that becomes so difficult to transport like that. So it needs to be baled anyway. But point being that if you transform it into a form that's easily transportable, then there's arbitrage there from one side of the province or to another province, or storing it for then trading it to later on into the market. So my key point here would be really to be able to convert it and focus it into an energy input. I think just in terms of the amount of, if you look at it, the rice straw that's generated per acre, the demand for energy just in that form, not rice straw, sorry, rice husk, is far beyond that. So that could be, substituted or replaced by or added to by rice straw. So if you just go to the last slide again, please, and I'll just summarize. Yeah, I think you get the points. I think those points have been summarized, well. Of course, so it needs to be, yes, awareness is there. I personally think that there's a lot of awareness that, from with the farmers, because they know that if they burn this, there'll be a criminal case against them. But it's just awareness on, of course, the viable solutions. But those solutions need to be made available and provided for. Yeah. So, and supporting farmers in terms of, mechanizations, ADB doing a lot of work in this. And I think if we can fill those gaps in for the right mechanization, that would take it to the next step. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Hi. Yes. So question, Takashi, please. Takashi. Where is he? You can
Can
talk,
you hear me?
Takashi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay, okay. So just a question to Shahid. So I think Shahid is referring to pelletization, making pellets out of rice straw. But are machines available for pelletization? And so that's my simple question.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and that's the sort of part that's missing. I think if the pelletization machinery isn't available. I don't think it's not a high tech thing. I'm sure you know, but it's just that we just haven't got to that point yet. That's the thing, because it's sort of first it's being able to collect that straw. And then then the pelletization, so that making it as part of as an input for energy. I think if that could be done, that would open up a whole new market.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Shahid. That was really interesting, and it's really great to hear from private sector side, because I think a lot of the answers you may have that we may not, or we have different perspectives on. So maybe the question I have is around one in Pakistan in terms of the opportunity for biogas production. And of course, later in the afternoon, we'll get the example from our efforts in India, but I'm quite keen to hear about the other side of the border of what's happening in Pakistan. That's one question. And then secondly, maybe a question to Noriko or Babar, is that, we haven't really heard from government's perspective. Now, we keep talking about incentives to farmers. For me, I'd like to also understand what government sees as its role in providing those incentives and looking at where subsidies could be targeted, or even cash transfer, to try to encourage farmers to move in this direction of mechanization and other solutions. Thanks.
Okay,
Thank you,
so it's a
Shahid,
good question,
please.
I think. Yeah, on the biogas, the problem with the biogas, or I think one of the downsides, if we talk about energy or production as a mass scale, if you're talking about big, sort of plants where they can use this raw material to produce energy and then distribute. The Pakistan energy market's really broken, and I think Noriko's probably knows this very well, and Amna ADB knows this well. So in terms of the distribution, generation, pricing, recently this whole thing going on with solar, is there going to be tax? Is there not? And so it's a mess. So my personal thing is that it's better to keep it sort of localized, and it is fragmented already. So where we can keep it sort of bypass that centralized government sort of energy distribution, it's better to keep it that way. And secondly, on a technical side, in terms of biogas, the way, again, it's the energy storage is problem with that. So if you can have the raw material, so people looked at this as even from husk, trying to generate it or burn it in a way that it would produce biogas. The issue is that it's the storage, and you need the capacity, the size of the boilers, and then whether you have that uptake and demand during your production, because you have so much volatility in your demand within a rice mill, whether it's in a medium size or a large size or a small size. So there's a lot of on and off. And so it's just that threshold that you need to get it going in a sort of if you're producing biogas from that. I think that if you do it, because boilers are there, I mean, okay, maybe less sort of efficient in that sense, but the boilers are there throughout the various different industries. So if you can just produce it or transform it into a raw material form where it can just be stored and transported easily, and price discovery could be done, that's probably the sort of the most efficient step. That's how I would see it.
Thank you. Okay, Yasmin. So yeah, he I mean, what we are talking in Pakistan, in my understanding, is that the industry will come in, and then they will try to consume those the rice straw, using that as a energy, renewable energy. So, but still, we have to do a lot of R&D for that. So we are trying to engage the University of Agriculture, Faisalabad, and then the Pakistan Agriculture Research Council. Those researchers' role is also very important. This is the situation in Pakistan. So thank you very much, Shahid. And then your second question, the government is now giving subsidy for this super seeder to like chop this straw and then mix in the soil. So this is like a not very traditional, but this is the only the possible solution in a big scale, because this advanced harvest machine are not yet coming in a size. So government is now trying to provide that kind of locally available machine, and then giving support to the manufacturers, and also providing the subsidy to the farmer, so then the farmer can buy those machines. So this is what they are trying to do it. However, as we already discussed and found out, we need to like establish quite like a sustainable value chain system. Otherwise, one like a segment, the approach won't work in this area. So this is what we found it, and that is the most challenging part. We can like provide ad hoc like a solution maybe, but it should be one integrated solution. So together with the farmer, because farmer is a key, so they have to do it. So this is what we are now finding, but we will try to talk to government more what they are thinking, and then we also provide our advice, particularly the result from our study. So this is the situation. Thank you. Thank you very much, Shahid. It's still early morning, 3 hours behind in Manila. So, okay. Shahid, if we know you are busy, but try to stay as much as possible. So this is what Yasmin is asking about. Yes. Sorry. Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. Sava, please.
Hi, Shahid. This is excellent just to hear from the private sector side, but I'm trying to connect the dots in what you concluded, the fact that moving this to renewable energy planning, but also what you also said earlier about steam, the demand for steam and parboiled rice. So I was thinking, in connecting the two, would you then say having the rice millers themselves setting up a decentralized system somehow of energy, that when you're using the conventional energy, and we know in Pakistan reliability of electricity is such a big issue, and the backups is usually generators, which are self-generated at the location of industry. So would you say there is an opportunity for the private sector, especially the rice millers who are or other crops who are invested into the demand using parboiled or steamed preferences, and then connecting that renewable off-grid systems would be one way of thinking through this rather than the government approach, as you said?
Yeah, that's a very good point. And actually, in a way, that's what's being done. So it's how we are sort of, let's say, converting the energy from the husk or the raw material to the final end. So the final use in most of our cases, let's say, let's look at Galaxy. So we have a heat energy requirement which is fulfilled for, which is required for heating up water for sort of steaming and the parboiling, and drying of the paddy as well, heating up air to a high enough temperature to dry it. And then there's the pure energy electricity required for the actual plant running for the milling side. So those are the two sort of energy applications. Now, if you talked about sort of if you use the husk, one way is, and they did this in India, and few people tried this in Pakistan. So you use a sort of a high pressure boiler, and you use, whether it be rice straw or a husk or anything like that, to produce steam, which is then running a turbine to generate electricity. Right. So you make electricity, and that could be used for the electricity demand. But most of the other energy, I would say, in terms of actually, thermal units is for plants like us, if you're using parboiling and steaming, is required for steam, for hot air, for heating up water or heating up air. And that can be just done directly. So you just put in raw material in a boiler, and then you generate steam and you use that. So in that sense, what you were saying, we're already doing this in a fragmented demand. And actually, I mean, I came across this, and I keep on sort of repeating this now through discussions with Noriko on this, and I didn't think of this as either before, to be honest. And I think that, you know, I would certainly be looking at this. How can we do this? And as I said, we have two big wastages at the moment. One is this rice straw, and the other is the straw, that the husk that we burn also turns into ash. I mean, just last week, I paid someone, I don't know how many, several $1,000s to have it removed, last year's worth of, it's just ash, you know, but that needs to be processed again. That's much more complex, trying to derive carbon and silica out of that, but that also has industrial applications. But that, again, is something that we're having to pay to lift. And I, again, keep giving an example of the husk, that 20 years ago, if we had to pay people a lot of money to take it away. And now that's worth, you know, it's worth, at the moment, today, it's worth $55 a ton. And I'm having to buy that in. I'm having to buy more than I can produce. So if I can have an energy source that's locally through farmers, that can be sort of bundled and stored and, you know, transformed in an efficient way, definitely we ourselves would be a customer. And I think, you know, there would be demand for that. So yeah, coming to your point, it's in a way it's been done, but the trying to use it to produce electricity is not the most efficient way. The problem is, because of the amount of steam that you need, the small size turbines that are required, that creates a problem. And then once you put that investment in, the capital investment that's required for that, you need a lot of biomass to continuously keep running it in that way. But honestly, it's something I will look at again, because the last time I ran these numbers, that was about 10 years ago. So now probably the energy prices in Pakistan are like, probably, you know, they're like, I think they're 10 times anyway. So maybe the numbers look different now, and it is worth investing in the storage and then the steam turbines and stuff.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a very interesting discussion. So we have one more question, Dr. Anju Monir, but sorry, you know, we are running late. So very short question, or if we have any comments, short one, and then the rest maybe you can send us the in chat box or whatever. So Dr. Anju Monir from University of Agriculture, Faisalabad.
I have one question, madam.
Yes, please.
So Shah Tarat Saab, it was very nice presentation. So now the topic is being discussed, that the energy conversion from the bales. So there were two options. One is the biogas option, and second is the thermal option in the boilers and steam generation and then powerhouse. I think we have been working on these two issues in our university. We are energy department. And for biogas conversion process, it is not so efficient, because in biogas, it is anything which is biodegradable. It is but it will take longer time. The best option would be a thermal side in terms of boilers. And I'm also thinking, if we use these bales in the brick kiln, it's very good option. And there are many brick kiln, and they are decentralized in the village area, rural areas. And if we design the brick kiln in such a way that the combustion can be done over there, and there is no rocket science inside, and this thermal energy can be utilized over there. Second option, in the combustion, we have 82 sugar mills. I have already discussed that. And the sugar season is running at that time. In addition to the bagasse, the residual of cane, this rice husk can be incorporated with this one, and this can be used as a fuel in the already designed boilers. And these boilers run on 50% moisture content, and in the rice husk we have also moisture content. So I am proposing two options. One is the brick kiln, and one is the already in sugar mills in the bagasse fired boiler mixing with the bagasse. So I just want to discuss with the Shah Tarat Sahab.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So perhaps we all in Pakistan, let's discuss further.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Saisab, you want to say something?
No, that's it. I agree with what Dr. Saab said, and I think, yes, we can continue the conversation because we're all in Pakistan, so we should, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anjumodil. I think, we are looking forward to working with you and your team from university for this issue. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, sorry, we are running late, so we would like to move to the next session. Session 3 is again very interesting session, biomass management in practice. So I would like to invite our colleague, Sumika Nakane, investment specialist from our private sector operation department. She talks about the Sahel biomass energy project in India. So it's related to the last topic, right? So thank you very much. Thank you, Sumik.
Nepal, India, China, Indonesia, Malaysia. ये बड़ा वैसे काम कर 400 आपको पे आ गया था वीडियो बोला कर
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Sumika Nakane. I'm a part of the private sector operation department in ADB. And my main focus is an infrastructure project in South Asia, including India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Maldives. So it has been very interesting a discussion because I usually cover on infrastructure side. So it's very informative for me, learning opportunity for me to hear about what's happening on agriculture side and also how the collection or treatment of the residue is done on the on the ground. So today, my focus is more for the infrastructure, end of the life of the biomass, agriculture residue collected. And especially today I'd like to talk about the SAEO Biomass Energy Project. This is a project we supported in 2023. 2023. So we provided around 90 million US dollar loan for the 5 biomass power plant in Rajasthan, India, in total for around 75 megawatts. So this is what I'd like to introduce you to today. So just as a brief background, like any other government of India, they have ambitious target for GHG reduction as shown here. And but still there has been significant progress for the generation types such as solar and wind, but biomass is still untapped. And actually, there is a potential of biomass availability of 28 gigawatt in India. But in reality, as you can see on the graph, around only 3% of the generation capacity is a biomass at this moment. And that was a high level policy level discussion. But there our daily life is also affected by the air quality. And most of the air quality issue, one of the reasons comes from the on-land farming, stubble burning. And it is not farmers, they want to burn it on the ground, but they do not have any other effective options. And actually as was discussed in the previous presentation, even the stubble burning, it comes with a cost for the farmers. So they need to pay fuel cost, they need to pay a labor cost. So it's not necessarily the best option for them to do the stubble burning. So actually, the biomass power could be an effective solution for that a problem. It can be the agricultural residue can be collected and then burned in the burned under the controlled environment, unlike a stubble burning, which is uncontrolled environment. And then the power generated from biomass power plants, it can used as a base load renewable energy. So unlike solar project, which is intermittent, biomass can be generated around the clock and regardless of the weather. So it's very effective from that perspective. And also each biomass power plant, its generation capacity is so small, but if it's collected, it can contribute to the reduction of the air quality issue in India. And then last but most important point, it can create additional income to the farmer by the sales of the agricultural residue to the power plants. So just like a very briefly, how can like a power be generated from the agricultural residue? So what's happening? Why they need to like burn the agricultural residue on the ground is they need to clear the land very quickly between the harvesting and sowing of the plants. So that usually happens from October to December in northern part of India. So how biomass power generation happens is once the harvest is completed, there will be the beta owned by the aggregator or agriculture community to be deployed on the ground, and they make this bale, like round bale, from the agriculture residue, and then it is transported to the storage center. So usually this transportation in the project like we are working on, it's taken care by the local farmers. So meaning this is another additional revenue opportunity for them in addition to the sales of the agricultural residue. And it is transported to the storage, which is close to the biomass project. So for our project, it's within a 5 to 10 kilometer distance from the biomass plants. And then finally, those collected agricultural residue, they are put into the boiler after quality inspection. And boiler is creating the steam from the hot combustion, which rotate, run the turbine, and then to produce the power from the agricultural residue. So that's in a nutshell how power is produced from the agricultural residue. So now I'd like to talk about the project we supported last year. So it is called SAEL Biomass Energy Project. And the project, as I mentioned earlier, this is consisting of 5 power plants, biomass power plants. So each 14.9 megawatt, in total 74.5 megawatt biomass power project in Rajasthan, India. So India, in some of you know, but Rajasthan and Punjab, those northwestern part of India, they are the food basket for the country, but they are also close to Delhi. So the stubble burning in those areas, it creates the pollution, air pollution in India, especially in the autumn period. And the project sponsor, this is a private sector company called SAEL Industries. So just the history of this company, so it's been the group has been in operation for over 30 years. And the promoter started their business in Punjab and in the agriculture business and processing, warehousing, all agri-related business. So they have very strong network with the local farmers, and that is actually why what worked very favorably for the biomass projects. And then later they started to expand their business into solar or biomass energy, and then that's how we started engagement with them, and then we closed the finance last year. And feedstock for the biomass power. So they can use 3 types of feedstock: mustard stock, groundnut husk, and paddy straw. And the power generated from the biomass power plants, it's sold to the distribution company in Rajasthan based on the long-term PPA of between 20 to 25 years. So there will be a visibility for the revenue for the power plants for the long term. That makes a big difference for the private sector investors such as SAEL, as well as the private sector lenders like us. So it's very important point. And EPC and O&M is also undertaken by SAEL, our client. And the important thing here is technology selection. So this case, they chose European technology, so that has a track record of the higher plant load factor. And one point to highlight, although this is a private sector project and we are private sector finance provider, but what's very important, important enabler is a regulatory framework. So in the case of Rajasthan, and I think it's similar to Punjab in India side, I think they have a strong state policy to support biomass energy. So example includes first exclusive feedstock catchment area. So meaning so it's just one biomass project in one area, and there cannot be new biomass power project within certain like a radius from that project. So for this case, 14.9 megawatts within 90-kilometer radius of the project, there cannot be new biomass power project. So that there is like no unhealthy competition for the feedstock. So that's one. And another point is mass trans status. So the project will not be subject to merit order dispatch as long as they like the project generates the power and then offtake those the state-owned distribution company, they need to purchase the power regardless. And yeah, last but not least, so we provided Indian rupee loan, which is like around 90 million US dollar equivalent in 2023, and we disbursed last year. Construction is ongoing, and yeah, actually within next few months, first biomass power project will be like commissioned. And this is our first private sector loan to a biomass project in India. So like of course, for us, private sector finance team to finance a project, financial viability is important. But of course, as a ADB, we value development story and also additionality, what kind of value we can add. So development impact, of course, first like a point is about GHG reduction avoidance because it's renewable energy project. And then second, like farmers additional income. So like those are 5 biomass power projects. And then in total, around 20,000 farmers will sell the residue to the project and then get the like income within for that. And of course, like the employment opportunities for there be there. So around 2,750 for the during the construction and 1,250 during operation. And majority of the employees come from the local community. And the value like we could add through our like loan is first demonstration effect. So even in India, domestic like banks, they think